You're listening to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast, the show with a light-hearted look at the eventing world, all of the big event previews, reviews, and special guests, and of course, backed up with all of the key EquiRating stats. Welcome to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast. Welcome to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast, and it is the Boekelo preview show. Now, we are doing this a little bit differently because Diarm and I are in Linier for the Event Rider Masters Series finale, and we thought we have one of the leading contenders here. She had a little bit of downtime. We were like, Laura Collett, come and talk to us about Boekelo.
Yeah, it's great to actually have something to do because I'm just here with one horse in the 2-star short, so I've got a bit of time to kill, so happy to come and do this.
Let's just talk for a second about Boekelo because it is one of the most popular events on the circuit. It's a lovely event in itself, but the parties are fairly legendary.
They are, and I'm taking 2 horses, which puts paid to the partying quite so much. But it's towards the end of the season. For me, it's my final event, so it's always an amazing event to be at.
Now, taking De Capo and London 52, let's talk about Dan London 52 first. Didn't go to plan at the Europeans. You've rerouted to Boekelo and everything going to plan at home. I don't want to pile too much pressure on you because we've been guilty of that in the past on the podcast, but everything going to plan in the build-up?
Obviously Boekelo wasn't the plan. The Europeans, he was amazing. Just one of those really unlucky things. He'd been phenomenal the whole way round and just got caught out by the bird in the water. So I didn't quite know what to do. I didn't want to finish him on that note. And to be honest, because of my slight mess up at Bramham, he hasn't actually, completed a 3-day this year. So it was actually Tina Cook suggested that I take him to Boekelo, and he came out of the Europeans so well, and he actually, which was the main thing for me, is he was delighted with himself. He thought he was fantastic, which, he was, and he's fit and well, and we thought, why not?
He was second there 12 months ago. It's a venue he obviously likes. We're going to leave London 52 there. I'm not going to pile the pressure on for another podium finish, but he would go in as one of the leading fancies. Tell us about De Capo, because he's again a horse that has had a couple of ups and downs this season and looking to finish on a good note.
Yeah, his plan wasn't actually to go to Boekelo either. It was to go to Blenheim, but unfortunately we had a slight issue with the shoeing the week before, so he couldn't go to Blenheim. And luckily he had an entry at Boekelo anyway, so just did a quick reroute. It only took a week, but unfortunately timing, as ever with horses, it was the week that he couldn't afford to miss if he was going to Blenheim. He's been on really good form. Again, he's only a 10-year-old as well, and he's produced some really good runs. He's been very consistent. We had a blip at Tattersalls in the long format, so to put that right. So basically my aim for Boekelo on both horses is to have a nice time and complete, and give them some confidence back.
Finish the season on a happy note before a good winter and a good 2020.
Yeah, we're pretty much writing 2019 off because it really hasn't been a very good year with one thing or another, so we'd quite like to finish it hopefully on a high, and we'll start again next year.
Start afresh. It is a year that has included an Event Rider Masters win at Chatsworth, though, so it's not all has not been lost. Let's give you a little bit of background on Boekelo. So New Zealand would have been the most successful country to compete there in recent years. They've been on the podium 5 times. They actually won the Nations Cup final there a couple of years ago. Germany, again, very competitive for podium finishes for them, equal with GB. Now, the Netherlands are looking for a team ticket still to Tokyo in 2020. There is 1 ticket on offer left available for the highest team in the Nations Cup standings. Boekelo is being run under the Olympic format. Laura, we'll come on to that in a second because that's a really interesting point of 3 in a team. But in terms of the teams looking for qualification, you've got the likes of Belgium, the Netherlands, Switzerland don't have a team qualified. The Netherlands, though, Diarm, on home soil, this is a big one for them.
Absolutely, firstly. And we haven't had a Dutch winner of Boekelo in a long time. I think I'm correct in that. When we were there, myself and yourself, on the one commentary that we got asked to do and never come back, when we were there, we watched Tim Lips jump in the stadium for the opportunity to do it. And he was third last year. I can see you holding up your fingers to me. But he was also, I think, pretty similar a couple of years ago. And he went in, Tim won on Sekatinka. So yes, I think it's interesting. There hasn't been a home winner there. It's sort of like Tattersalls maybe was. I think Mill Street has certainly climbed and Ballindennis as well. But certainly it's at the moment the premier event in the on the Dutch international calendar, which means that look, they're going to be under more pressure is the point I'm getting to here slowly, and they're going to. So there's always a big expectation on that home team. There is also the added piece of this puzzle, which is the Olympic qualification, more pressure. They're a big nation not yet to be qualified. When we were looking at, Switzerland not there yet, and Belgium, but the Netherlands would, it's not that long ago since we had, since they won that bronze medal at the World Equestrian Games. So they are a big nation not yet to be going to Tokyo. And finally, I would say, don't forget, it's going to be 3 counting scores from 3. So this is going to be the Olympic format. And one of the things that I've gone on about on the podcast and at different times during the year is I just wonder if we have yet really grasped how influential, how exciting, and how much on a knife edge every cross-country round is going to be when we have 3 counting scores from 3. The Dutch did not have a good European Championships. Fine, we have a top rider in Tim Lips. There's a number of other very talented riders behind him. But 3 counting scores from 3 for Olympic qualification, this is going to be absolutely, from a team point of view, on a knife edge. And the Nations Cup has been brilliant all year. Have you got a look at the standings?
Yeah, so if we just go through the standings as they stand, because it is basically the team that is the highest placed in the Nations Cup Series after Boekelo that has not yet qualified for the Olympics will get that team ticket. So at the moment, Sweden are actually leading the Nations Cup team standings. They've got 435 points, but they've qualified. Italy, they're second, but they've qualified. So when it starts to get really interesting, Switzerland are actually sitting in third. So 365 points, 10 points ahead of the Netherlands in fourth. And then you've got Team GB, France, but Belgium are next on 300 points. So Belgium have 55 points to make up on the Netherlands, 65 on Switzerland. So Belgium are a little bit off the pace here. Switzerland and the Netherlands and Belgium will be fighting it out for a team ticket to Tokyo. It is a big thing for them because it's their last easy chance. Yes, there might be tickets for teams that come available through other routes down the line, but it is the last team ticket officially on offer at the moment. So it gets a little bit complicated down the line. Essentially, we'll go with the team that is the highest place in the Nations Cup standings after Boekelo get a team ticket if they have not already qualified. The teams you're looking for, Switzerland, Belgium, I nearly forgot that, and the Netherlands, the home team. So it is a big pressure on those teams coming forward. They've got some big names coming forward. Before we talk about a few of the key contenders in terms of the individual competition, let's just for a second, Laura, talk about Olympic format. 3 in a team. Are riders cautious? Are they nervous? Are they excited? How is the feeling in the team camp in terms of kind of how the Nations Cup is going to play out in Olympic format?
I think it's going to change it massively tactically because the draw where the teams are drawn is going to play a huge part, because if you're drawn later on and you see one of the higher placed teams after dressage, i.e. the Germans, if they have a problem with their first team rider, then it might be a case of playing safe with your 3 riders to make sure they get home safe and not have to bring in your substitution. And that's another whole mind-boggling thought process to get through. But I think to be honest, for the riders, we've still just got to go and do our job. But I think for the teams behind us, with the management and everything, they're the ones that are going to be scratching their heads and having to be very on the ball with every rider that goes and how to play it, and giving team instructions.
I have to admit, I find the whole team dynamic when you get to an event absolutely fascinating. So taking it down to 3 in a team is just going to be mind-boggling. Watch this space for that. Let's talk about a few of the key contenders. First of all, let's go for the double Olympic champion, Michael Young. He's 3 horses entered, Highlighter, Crever Cooley, but he's got the Wonder Mare. The 3-time Kentucky champion, Fisher Rakana, is back and going to Boekelo. She'll be looking for an Olympic qualifying result. She would surely be one of the favourites to take a podium place. Laura, he's been in very good form. He's leading here after the dressage in Linear as we record this podcast. But Rakana, to see her back is pretty special, and it's going to be at Boekelo.
Yeah, I think we all sort of thought that she was, going to be retired, and then she's made a comeback. She looks amazing. Seen her working around, and I think Mickey's probably leading every single class that he's entered here in Linear. You say he's in form. I don't think he's ever been out of form in his whole entire life. So when he's going to Boekelo with a horse like Fisher Rakana, then I think the best place anyone else is going for is second.
That's a fair point. And actually, I always have this conversation with myself. I have to remind myself, she's only 14. She's won 3 Kentuckys. She's been to European Championships. She took the individual silver medal in Stragom in 2017. She's just been at the top level for such a long time. She's been second at Po. She's just been incredible. I think she went to the World Equestrian Games, I'm just checking, as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old back in 2014, and she finished second, took the individual silver. She has just been a superstar for so long, and she's still only 14. So that's the first of the big German guns to kind of mention. The next one would be Ingrid Klimke and Asher P., who is a former Le Lion 7-year-old world champion. SAP Asher P., she's definitely got a sort of a second string coming through now that can really back up SAP Hailbob.
Yeah, Ingrid's so incredible on the flat, and now these younger horses are starting to get the experience and come through. I think she won FEI Nations Cup on the mare, which has probably been her prep run for Boekelo, so she's obviously in form. She was definitely at Le Lion. She's still a young horse, but definitely looks to be following in the footsteps of Hailbob.
Germany have won the team competition in the Nations Cup in Boekelo more than any other team. They've won it 3 times. Let's talk about a few of the other big contenders. Chris Burton, he comes forward with Clever Louis. This is the horse that he showed again at Blenheim just how remarkable he is. The first international with the horse, and he goes and wins the 8 and 9-year-old class.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said on a couple of podcasts recently, it almost is getting to the point of what more, how many more ways can we dissect this? We're at an Event Rider Masters this weekend. He's just delivered a dressage test which is below probably what we were expecting for Quality Purdy. But yet we sit here very confident that he's likely to make the time, and he'll claw back quite a lot of that. As you mentioned, Clever Louis, I mean, they haven't been together very long. And he's done that consistently. I mean, we saw that he actually went to Adelaide not that long ago, and that was a catch ride, as you were able to do at the time. You no longer can do that, but winning a 5-star on a horse that he had barely sat on, and again had made the time on that occasion. So he did it with Clever Louis recently. It's interesting, Laura. It isn't that easy to just, it does take time to build a partnership. I know most of your horses have been with you for pretty much all of their lives. Chris is obviously massively talented, but just in terms of getting to know a horse, even Lawtown Chloe, you might remember Nicole in the Event Rider Masters this year, it did take a little bit of time. I think it was actually the Chatsworth that you won, where their test was probably a little bit below par. It's a nice surface in Boekelo now. They're probably this is the 3rd year of the surface in Boekelo. Most of Chris's horses, I would suggest, prefer that, without any real stats backing that up, but just from visuals, I would say that. And Clever Louis, I would say, first time probably in an atmosphere of this size. would be certainly with Chris. Big atmosphere. So I don't know how much pressure we would be putting on him. I would say this is an opportunity for them to build a partnership together.
I'd say this is an opportunity for him to qualify the horse for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. That's the aim. He wants a qualifying result out of Boekelo, and that'll be tick box number one. And Chris Burton is getting a number of horses qualified for the Olympic Games. He's got plenty of qualifying results in the bag already. There will be a number of riders here coming forward for a qualifying result. Interestingly, as far as I'm aware, no Chinese riders going forward to Boekelo. So they are running out of options to get their qualifying tickets in place. We will be updating you on that throughout the rest of the season. Let's talk about the French for a second, because they have a couple of really, really nice young horses coming forward. The first being Astier Nicolas, Babylon de Gamma, who won at Blair. And Laura's making like, oh, I love that horse.
Yeah, that horse, I saw it at Le Lion d'Angers, I think last year. Amazing jumper, not very big, and just a lovely, lovely horse. So,
is it Laura sized?
Yeah, I think I'd look good on it, but I think I have told Astier that a number of times and he just laughs at me. But yeah, I think that would be one to watch. I know he was slightly disappointed with the dressage mark he got at Blenheim in the 8-9-year-old class, but I think the horse won Blair 4-star short, so definitely got form and be definitely one to watch.
So watch out for Babylon de Gamma. Actually, that horse is following a fairly similar path to a certain Vinci de Levine, who went very well as an 8-year-old at Boekelo a couple of years ago, and then the following year went on to a 7th place individually at the World Equestrian Games with Astier. So he will very much be looking to catch the French selector's eye. Nicolas Touzon has a couple of really nice horses, the former European champion. Alexis Gury as well, and also Tom Carlile with Burmain, the horse that he really thinks a huge amount of, that we spoke about on the Blenheim preview podcast. There's a number of very good British horses. Now, I think it's time that we invited Spike here in Lignières to put a few of his British hopefuls forward for consideration.
I actually was going to be Spike, Nicole, but at the last second I ran out of energy. They are all here. Like, what is Spike going to do with himself this weekend? Because there is so much young British talent, and if he was on this pod, as you can imagine, because he does it on every single pod we're on, he gives every single one of them a mention. I can see Yaz Ingham is here, Sandman 7 and Rehi DJ. I can see Molly Summerland on Charlie van der Heijden. That's one of your favourites, Nicole. I presume his other one is here, the one that gets on every podcast. Richard Coney. Does Spike do Richard Coney? Oh, that's you. Yeah, you're a big Richard Coney fan. No, there's one. It's Yaz Ingham, and who's his other one that gets on every pod? Oh, Bubby Upton. Is Bubby here? Oh, well, we give her a mention on every pod anyway, because that keeps up the tradition. But yeah, there's lots of young British talent. When was the first time you went? You went pretty young, didn't you?
I think the first time I went was 2014, maybe, with Allura and Noble Bestman.
I loved Allura and Noble Bestman. Okay, a few Kiwi riders. The Kiwis are sending a pretty young team, actually, that they are really kind of looking to get some riders put their head above the parapet in terms of selection for next year. James Avery, one of a kind. Now, James comes here in good form. He had a win in Ballon-Dennis, Laura. He would really like to put in a strong performance this weekend. Yeah,
it's quite a relatively new ride to him, produced up the levels by Matt Heath. And I know the horse went really well in Tattersalls in the CCI 3-star long. And then he's been just playing about with bits and things. He's got the horse going really forwards now on the cross country, and almost a bit too much. He got a bit too enthusiastic. So clearly he's found a bit that works. He's delighted with how he ran at Ballon-Dennis, and yeah, I'd say all systems go, and he'd be looking for a really competitive run at Boekelo.
And actually, Jesse Campbell has Cleveland as well, which is a horse that went really well at Badminton, really well at Aachen, was top 20 in Aachen. So again, another one for New Zealand. The United States have got some really good combinations. Cooley Quicksilver, Liz Halliday Sharp, a horse I put up actually at the beginning of the year to watch this season. Jenny Brannigan, Stella Artois, and Tammy Smith, my bum, who had that really unfortunate, I think they had a couple of problems on the cross country at the Pan American Games, looking to put those behind them. It's a horse that has an incredible record otherwise. Japan have got a number of very strong combinations coming forward. including Yoshiaki Iowa and Bart L, who won the individual title at the Asian Games, I believe it was last year, a couple of levels below. But that horse, Bart L, was actually part of the French team that won gold at the Rio Olympic Games, so is very experienced. And again, one eye on Tokyo 2020. And another horse for Kazuma Tomoto looking for a qualifying result with Bernadette Utopia. The Irish have got a number of pretty strong combinations down. I'm going to pass it over to you for that one, because Porrig McCarthy, a couple of really interesting rides.
Let's just get straight stuck into it. Leo is going to be here by all accounts. Are we not positive on that? Maybe, possibly. Well, we'll just go with the fact that he is going. We'll see if he is. Where did we meet him? We met Porrig at Mill Street, and they hadn't been together that long at the time, but he was still, he had a big smile on his face that day. And we mentioned it with Clever Louis and Chris. This is obviously a very different situation. Leonidas, so experienced, but still a very new partnership. So they've got to learn a little bit together. But, he's been here before, Porrig obviously, and Leo, but Porrig has been here, delivered good dressage tests with Bernadette Utopia here. I think it's probably 3 years ago now, 2016 I think it was, but good finish, good dressage that day. Porrig in form. Falula hopefully here as well. So 2 shots. We haven't got Mr. Chunky at the moment. So 2 shots really at probably Olympic qualification and building that partnership as they look to get their place on a competitive Irish team for Tokyo 2020. So definitely that would be the combination, or the 2 combinations I would be keeping a close eye on. Okay,
so one more one to watch. Kevin McNabb is taking Fernhill Tabasco, a horse that was formerly campaigned by his wife Emma, who's just had a baby, and it could be an Olympic qualifying result for Team Australia for them. Let's talk winners. Let's go for winners. Laura, I'm going to say pick a winner. You don't have to pick yourself. You can pick anybody in the field. Go for it.
My money would definitely be on Mickey and Fisher Rakana.
Okay, she is looking very beautiful. You just started waving frantically out the window at me, and I was like, what? And it was Fisher Rakana walking past, and she looks incredible. Diarm, winner for you?
Difficult one. Laura's giving me daggers here across because she knows if I'm under strict instructions not to put the pressure on. But you should have a great chance to be certainly in that region, I would think. So yeah, I think you've got a great shout. Rakana coming back. I actually think Leonidas. I'm going to go with Leonidas. Why are you looking at me like that? Don't do that face. I think Leonidas has a great chance. Very good in the first phase, powerful, can jump, very experienced pair. I'm going to go with Leo to get a victory under his belt.
Okay, I think I'm actually going to say that I can't see much past Michael Young to take the win. I think he's got to be the hot favourite. Actually, no, I'm going to change it up. Not really going too far off script. Ingrid Klimke, Asher P. SAP Asher P will take the win here in Boekelo this weekend. In terms of the Nations Cup, I think the last team ticket is going to go to the Netherlands. The pressure will be on. It's a home event. They've got to deliver. Absolutely 100% have to deliver. Diarm, you're shaking your head. This is what happens, listeners, when we actually record in the same room. We just sort of make funny faces at each other and disagree.
I think there's a good chance that both of those teams come into difficulty. Three counting scores from 3 is going to be so influential that there's a good chance neither of them move that much from their current places, is my guess. So I think Switzerland probably scrape their way to Olympic qualification this weekend in a very, very disappointed Boekelo. I think Switzerland will do it. You are nodding, which means that you can have the mic.
I was just saying I agree. I think Switzerland, because they haven't got as much pressure. That's not a home, competition for them. I think the Dutch might just be trying a little bit too hard, and the Swiss have got the upper hand at the moment. So all they've got to do is stay there. So I'm going with the Swiss.
Okay, fair enough. We'll watch this space and stay tuned for Boekelo throughout the weekend. it's going to be an exciting one. Olympic format, some really big names, team qualification, individual riders looking for qualification. It promises not to be a disappointment. So Boekelo will be taking place this weekend. We'll be back very soon with another episode of the Eventing Podcast. Laura, good luck. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to let you go and get ready to finish your competition here in Lignières now.
Thank you very much for having me.
Always a pleasure, Diarm. We will look forward to Boekelo, but yeah, it's been a pleasure as always recording him in the same vicinity as one another.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Nicole. A whole day of it we have ahead, so let this hopefully not be the worst that we do.
No, let it be the worst, right? Let's hope they get better. On that note, listeners, thank you for listening to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast. We'll be back very soon with another episode, so do stay tuned. Thank you for listening to the EquiRatings Eventing Podcast. This podcast is available for free on iTunes, Spotify, Podcast Addict, or wherever you usually listen to your podcasts. Make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. Find us at eventingpodcast.com or search Eventing Podcast on social media.